Home Alone. Home Alone is a film released in 1990, written and produced by film legend John Hughes. In Home Alone, a child named Kevin McAllister is accidentally left behind when his family leaves for Christmas, forcing him to fight against two inept burglars to protect his home and himself. Home Alone remains, to this day, the most successful live-action comedy of all time. In fact, it spawned a whole copycat genre of films about kids who are smarter than adults. If you're a child of either the 80s or 90s generation, chances are you've seen this film more times than you care to admit. Home Alone is a good movie for what it is, but we're not here to talk about the movie. We're here to talk about these. Each of the Home Alone games were developed by a different company, each taking a different approach. Let's start with the NES version. In the NES version, you're thrown right into the climax of the film. The burglars are looting your home, and you've got 20 minutes before the police arrive. The idea of the game is to survive for 20 minutes by setting traps, hiding, and running away. Sounds great, doesn't it? That's what a Home Alone game should be. It works on paper, sure, but in practice, it's an atrocious, broken mess. First off, Kevin walks like, well, this. What the hell is he doing with his hands? The game begins with the burglars running all over the house, unless they see you, in which case they'll give chase. For the first few minutes, they'll leave you alone, but after that, they'll start stalking you. Shortly after that, they stalk you with the speed of a world champion Olympic sprinter. Have you seen the guys in the movie? I doubt they could run like that, at least not for this amount of time. I mean, seriously, they come from every direction at Mach 5. This would still be okay, except that the traps deteriorate after a while. They can only be used a certain number of times before they disappear, leaving you searching for more traps. Inevitably, you'll die when you run out of traps, or when the bandits come at you from nowhere. And the controls are just as bad. Stairs are an impossible task that will only end in pain. Place a trap at the bottom, because while you're ambling up the stairs like a moron, the bandits will speed right up there and grab you. It's cheap, it's painful, and there is absolutely no fun to be had here. Playing this game is torturous. You know, I might actually prefer to be waterboarded. And the best part? This game was developed by a very young Bethesda Softworks. Yes, that's right, the same company that brought you Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, and Fallout 3. Everybody screws up sometimes, I guess. If you do make it through this nightmare for 20 minutes, this is all you get for your trouble. Two apes carried away by the world's strongest dead-behind-the-eyes police officer while Kevin looks on and gives them the kid power fist. That was so worth playing a game that's like lobotomizing yourself with an ice pick. Moving on, the Super Nintendo and Game Boy versions were developed by Imagineering Incorporated, a company practically known for awful games, but with one real hit. In this game, rather than taking the obvious approach of using the story of the film, they make it into a sequel of sorts, in which the Wet Bandits return to Kevin McAllister's house to find him home alone again. Now they want to rob the place and get revenge on the kid, and this time they're bringing the rest of the Wet Bandits gang. Were there any more members of that gang? Why didn't they bring them the first time around? Anyway, they want all the TVs and jewels, and Kevin's toys? Those dastardly thieves want to take his toys! This will not stand! In this version, the goal is to collect all of the valuables in the house and shove them down the laundry chute so the bandits can't steal them. And these people keep their valuables in some weird places. Drawer pizza. Yay, toilet cash! Once you've collected enough valuables, you head downstairs, fight through a hideous death trap in the basement, and then lock up all the valuables in the vault. Wait a minute, that scene was missing something. That's better. Each level consists of a different wing of the mansion, one of which is nothing but toys and games. Apparently the McAllister family has moved since the first film because this place is even bigger than the house in the movie. They've got a whole wing just for the pets. Speaking of pets, Kevin also crams them down the laundry chute. Seriously, he just jammed a puppy down the laundry chute. Come on, PETA, where's your Kevin McAllister tortures animals flash game? There are several inescapable traps placed here to intentionally make you lose some health with no recourse. That's not cool. And this guy, what's his purpose? He just stands up there. Unless you intentionally go after him, he'll just leave you alone. Weird. Whenever Kevin loses all of his lives, he's caught. Wait, why is he shirtless when they catch him? I'm terrified for him. Really, I am. At least this one has a slightly better payoff in the end. Also, this bad guy death sound is hilarious. The Game Boy version is identical, save for the fact that instead of scrolling around the house, each wing is a series of individual screens. Also, it's even worse due to more awful controls and even worse music. Oh, and one of the bad guys looks like Guy Fawkes. But this version, thankfully, isn't akin to having your toenails individually ripped off by a scary clown who's reading the Twilight novels aloud. It certainly isn't good, but it's worlds better than the NES version. Lastly, there's the Genesis and Game Gear versions. In these versions, you're tasked with saving the entire neighborhood. You're not just home alone. Apparently you're the lone survivor of the apocalypse. Each time you enter a new house, you're shown the blueprints and you're allowed to place traps at strategic locations in order to trip up and injure the crooks. The aim of the game is to keep the bandits from looting each house in the neighborhood. Like the NES version, the police will arrive in 20 minutes, so you've got to run the crooks out of each home by causing them as much pain as possible before they loot the place. You'll collect items as well, which can be used to create makeshift weapons like the pepper rifle and snowball bazooka. The graphics are better, the animations are great, and overall the game is actually fun. No, really, this one is actually worth playing. Once or twice. Any more than once or twice and it begins to get really irritating. You get the same ending every time with only the rank improving based on how many homes you've saved. In order to get the true ending, you have to save all the houses, and this is a huge pain in the ass. And for your trouble, you get the least satisfying ending of all three of these games. The Game Gear version is surprisingly identical to the Genesis version, so there's not much to talk about there. It's not great, but there is some fun to be had here. Saying that this game is the best of the bunch, though, is like saying that last week's root canal is better than today's root canal. It still sucks. I'll rate these individually as they're very different games. The NES version of Home Alone is absolutely awful. It's filled with problems and is damn near impossible to beat unless you just happen to get lucky, but it's not completely unplayable. This game's current value is about $2.50, and even at this price, it's still a 2 out of 5. The SNES and Game Boy versions are better, but not by much. At about $2 for the Super Nintendo and $1 for the Game Boy, this one just barely stays in the 2 out of 5 range. The Genesis and Game Gear versions, however, are the best of the three. They also have the highest value at around $3 for the Genesis and around $4 for the Game Gear. These are a 3 out of 5, as the game is actually a bit of fun, if only for a while. Oh, and Santa? I'm coming for you, fat man.